Hey, good morning. At-home crew, how you guys doing? A little bit of a different scenario, a little bit of a different environment today. We are going to use the whiteboard. We're going to talk about the demand curve and the elasticity of demand. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to use the board. I hope you guys enjoy this presentation. But let's get started. Okay, so what we want to start out with today is our demand schedule. So the demand schedule is basically be a table. It's going to show different quantities demanded at different possible prices. So I'm just going to create two columns, okay? So the first column is going to be our price. Okay? Our second column is going to be basically the quantity demanded, okay? All right, so as we remember with the law of demand, okay, as price increases, okay, our demand decreases, okay? So it's inverted. So let's take a look here. I'm going to put some numbers up, and I'll show you. Okay, so, here we are. Again, if we look at our demand schedule, okay, so we have a price of 10 bucks. All right, very pricey, very expensive. The demand, quantity demanded, not going to be there. So, therefore, we have 0 on this chart. Price goes down to $8. All of a sudden, well, hey, we got 2 demands. Goes down to 6. Well, we got 4. Down to 4, up to 6, down to 2, 8 demanded. And then if it's almost free, you have a higher demand, okay? So that's what we call, again, the demand schedule. But we're really going to be working with graphs. I'm going to show you what this looks like in graph form. So give me a moment. I'm going to erase this, and I'll put it in graph form. I'm going to show you what goes on the y-axis, what goes on the x-axis, okay? All right, here we go. Okay, so we'll have our graph here. We're going to put our price on the y-axis, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my spots in price. So we'll go up by increments of 2. So we'll start here at 0. All right, we're going to have 2 bucks, 4. I apologize for the horrible handwriting. 8, and then 10. So that is our y-axis. We've got our prices. Now, on the bottom, we're going to have our quantity. So we got P up here, and we're going to have our quantity down here, okay? And this time, we're going to go by 2s again. So, again, 2 bucks. We'll have 4. We'll have 6. We'll have 8. And we'll have 10. Now, if we match it with the way we set up our demand schedule, okay, we are going to see a downward sloping line. So think, when we do supply and demand, down, demand, D and D, Dungeons and Dragons, okay? So downward demand, okay? So we'll match it up, all right? Price is at 10 bucks, 0 demanded, okay? Price, we'll start here. Again, our starting point. Now, it goes down to 8. All right, $8. All right, we got 2 demanded. Down to 6. There's 4. All right, now we're moving our way down. Okay. So what do we have? We have a downward sloping line. Okay. So it is a downward sloping line from left to right. So left, down to right. Okay. All right, so demand curve. Again, this is the downward sloping line that shows in graph form the quantities demanded at each possible price. As price falls, the quantity demanded increases. As price rises, the quantity demanded decreases. The line always falls from left to right. Dungeons and Dragons, downward demand, okay? Now, understand this. There are going to be some what we call determinants of demand. All right, there are 5 determinants of demand. These include change in population, change in income, change in preference, or what we call fad or trend, which what you guys are working on with your projects, substitutes, and complementary goods. So I'm going to give you an example here. Whoa, the light is coming through. When population increases, opportunities to buy and sell also increase. So when we see this, this is what we can call a shift right. All right, so I'm going to show it to you in just a moment. If a population decreases, the opportunities to buy and sell will shift left. So our example here, so say the population of Dexter increases by 1,000 people by the end of 2021. All right, the demand for pizza at various locations, Cottage Inn, Classic, Jets, that's going to increase as well. So if population goes up, we're going to see a shift right. So we're going to take this initial line, okay? We'll take this initial line here. I'm going to draw some arrows. All right, you're going to practice these today. So again, these arrows right here, we see an increase in population in Dexter. We're taking this line and we're shifting it right. Okay, we're moving it to the right, and we're going to create a new line. That new line will look like that. When you have your graphs, you just got to show the arrows, okay, shifting to the right based on the scenario that you're going to be given. Now, if things were to change, okay, as I'm using my hand as an eraser, if things were to change and we saw a dramatic shift in population, so Dexter's population decreases, okay, all of a sudden, all right, we would see a shift left. So now, with this line, okay, it's going to be a shift down left, okay, so we're moving it down and to the left. We're going to have arrows here, okay, and that's what it's going to look like. All right, so that's change in population. All right, now rule apply here for change in income. So if someone gets a boost in pay, all right, if someone makes a lot of money, they get a higher bonus at work, all of a sudden their ability to demand goods is going to increase. They get more money, so we're going to see with that one, we'll see a shift right. So hey, I got more money at my job, we're going to boom, shift to the right, okay? If you lose your job, then the demand for goods is going to decrease, so that would be a shift left, okay? So again, an example, you take a pay cut and no longer have a high demand for designer clothes, all right? You have to make some trade-offs. Change in preference or fad. So tastes and preferences basically refer to what people like and what people prefer to choose. If something becomes wildly popular, they're going to have a higher demand. The demand is going to rise. If it fades out of style, it becomes less popular and there's less of a demand. So with the Beanie Babies in the 90s, okay, wild, just insane. People fighting each other at supermarkets trying to get these Beanie Babies. We would say that, hey, there's a big shift right with the demand, okay? So we would shift it to the right. We would arrow it to the right, all right, if we saw a change in a popular product or item. Okay, and again, if it falls out of style, therefore it's going to move to the left. Now, we also have something called substitutes. This is a little bit tricky. So substitutes are goods used in place of one another. So the availability and price of substitutes also affect demand. Butter and margarine are often seen as substitutes for one another. If the price of butter remains the same and the price of margarine falls, there will be a higher demand for margarine. So this forces a shift left, okay? So this is a decrease for butter. So we would see on a demand curve for butter a shift left, okay? Now, if the price of margarine increases, so if margarine becomes expensive, then all of a sudden people say, okay, margarine's too expensive, we're going to have a higher demand for butter, therefore the demand for butter would increase. So again, be careful as you read these scenarios, okay? Because you have two products, one's going to fall in one's going to fall in price, the other's going to rise in price. You got to figure out essentially what to do for the other one, okay? I will ask you specifically in those questions, okay? All right, we also have lastly complementary goods. So these are complements, are products that are generally sold together, all right? Batteries not included, all right? But again, in these instances, products are included. So for example, like a digital camera, it needs flash memory. If a digital camera has a high price, then there will be less demand for the camera and the memory card, so it'll be a shift left. If the digital camera is cheap, the memory card will also be cheap, so you're going to see a shift right. Okay, so we could look about, with our AirPods, that would be an example of a complementary good. So it's something, it's a smaller item that goes with a bigger item. Okay, they complement one another. Okay, so last component here. We're going to talk about the price elasticity of demand. So this is an economic concept dealing with consumers' responsiveness to an increase or decrease in the price of a product. We think elastic, we think flexible, being able to change, okay? So the price of elasticity of demand, this is an economic concept that deals with how much demand varies according to changes in price. So elastic demand, items that have a lot of substitutes or considered luxury items have an elastic demand. This greatly affects the amount that people are willing to buy. So people don't need these to survive, all right? This is elastic. Examples include coffee, like high-priced coffee, lobster, all right, Rolex watches, Air Jordans, okay? Don't need these to survive. These are elastic, okay? All right, now inelastic demand, this is a situation in which essentially product's price change has little impact on the quantity demanded by the consumers. There's always going to be a demand, regardless of the price, okay? This includes milk, it includes eggs, it includes sugar, it includes salt, pepper. So like when I go to the store to get some milk, if one week it's $1.20 and the next week it's $1.30, there's still going to be a high demand for it, okay? And it's just inelastic, all right? It doesn't change much. There's a really good graph that shows, and I'll kind of pull it up here real quick. We'll just use a line here. So again, with elastic demand, the line is going to be, from point A to point B, it's going to look like this, okay? Not as, it's just kind of a genuine, kind of a loop almost, all right? Now, with a inelastic demand, it's going to look very steep, okay? You'll see that in the notes. So again, all right, you're seeing not much change, okay? So again, very steep with inelastic with your milk, your sugar, and your butter, all right? Okay, hey, yeah, we used the board today. This is our demand discussion on the demand curve and the price elasticity of demand. We're going to do a supply curve next week, and we'll put these things together. So again, I appreciate you joining me. Hopefully it was clear enough, and looking forward to seeing you folks next week. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good one.